Hello, in this video I'm looking at les expressions de quantité. It's a little bit of a kind of vocabulaire supplémentaire aside from vocabulaire 3, but for those who are excited to start cooking using French recipes, this will be very important. You know, you are now in the position to start going onto the internet, finding French blogs from all over France, and finding different types of recipe exchanges that are in French, and using your French now to follow French recipes and to start cooking in French. This is probably the best way to prepare for a vacation in France or a Francophone country, because if you're cooking in a language, you surely know how to order in that language too. Well, we've been talking until now in terms of partitif, which is very, very fluid. It's literally fluid. You use the partitive article when you're talking about je bois du café. You know, some coffee, you're pouring out the coffee and you don't count how much. Je bois de la citronnade. You're pouring out a lemonade, you're not counting. As opposed to the indefinite article, which is already a little more definite because at least you have the sense of one or many things that could be counted with the indefinite article. Je prends des poires. Je prends un verre. Un verre. Now that's different. Un verre de lait. It's the indefinite article, but it's giving you not just, it's not like saying je prends une poire, a pear, or je prends, une pomme. It's actually giving you the measurement that you're using to talk about something. So, je prends un verre de lait. Normally, du lait, some milk. When you decide to give it a count, you're imposing some kind of measurement. Un verre de lait. Je prends du café. Je prends une tasse de café. You know, a mug of coffee. Je prends du vin. Je prends un verre de vin. And you even have the expression prendre un verre, to have a drink. Here are some other measurements. For teaspoon, une cuillère à café. Une cuillère is a spoon. And when you look at your measurement spoons in France, you have un CAC. Une cuillère à café, as opposed to une cuillère à soupe. A tablespoon is what we call it. But really, it translates to a soup spoon in French, une cuillère à soupe. They have bigger spoons, obviously, for soup than they do for café, which measures their little sugars. You have une tasse de, a cup, une demi-tasse de, half a cup, une boîte, so it's box. Oftentimes you'll say boîte, une boîte de conserve for a canned food. So une boîte could mean the can of something or the box, but I don't see any boxes usually. It's une boîte de, it looks like a can. Une bouteille, a bottle, un sac de, a bag of, un sac d'orange, un sac de citron, un verre de, a glass, un gramme, un kilo, un litre, une livre. So you'll be used to, if you live in France, talking in terms of un gramme, un kilo, un litre. That's how they measure everything. Une livre is how they talk about pound for the British and the Americans. Here are some examples. Je prends un verre de lait. Elle a un kilo d'orange. Do you notice something? You have this de, or de apostrophe. That is fixed. Oftentimes people confuse this because they're thinking, don't I have to use the contraction du, de la, de elle apostrophe, or de for the plural? Yes, you do when you're just talking in terms of the partitive or you're using just the indefinite plural. Je prends des oranges, je prends du lait. But when you put this measurement in, un verre de, un kilo de then becomes fixed. It's part of this idiomatic expression, if you will. Un verre de, un kilo de. The same goes for when you're using expressions of quantity like assez de, enough of, or beaucoup de, a lot of, un peu de, a little of, trop de, too much of. So when you're putting those, like, il y a trop d'oranges dans mon sac. There are too many oranges in my bag. Trop de. They give the example here. J'ai beaucoup de citrons. I have a lot of lemons. J'ai des citrons is the normal, just indefinite article, plural. J'ai des citrons. J'ai beaucoup de citrons. J'ai de l'ail. I have some garlic. Ah, j'ai mangé trop d'ail. Il faut 65 grammes de beurre. Il faut du beurre. Il faut 65 grammes de beurre. Préparer des fraises. Préparer 2 kilos de fraises. So you see the difference? Now, in one of the sentences I just used le passé composé. Nous avons mangé. Ah, that's going to be our next big grammar lesson. And we're not going to wait until next week. We're going to take all of the vocabulary lessons 2 and 3 and use them for half of the week, as 2 and 3 both simply accentuate what we've already done in 1 and allow you to explore further. 2 being more more about drinking and talking about preferences and expanding your palate to include more and more food. And then 3, going more towards la cuisine française and recipes. And you'll see all of the complementary PowerPoints I've done go in these 2 directions, which I think are really, they're very much, they dovetail. Because the more you know how to cook and to appreciate French cuisine, the more comfortable you will be when you order food in French restaurants and Francophone cafe or wherever you are and talk about your daily life, and vice versa. The more you know about French restaurants and French cooking and daily life, the more you'll be able to understand what is la cuisine française. It is so much more, yet we have to give credit to, it is so much more than the big masters, the world famous chef like Paul Bocuse, Paul Bocuse, and there's another Alain. Oh, I have to read up on my... I've watched documentaries on them, but I don't remember the names of the famous chef. Voila. Let's get ready, though, to talk about what we've eaten in the past tense in our next and crowning video for Chapter 5.